Peace and greetings. Presenting the Network of Awareness podcast radio station, providing in-depth information on society and culture in America and abroad, bringing you truth messages of inspiration, keen insight, reputable interviews, and so much more. So now, for the truth you've been waiting for, your host of the Network of Awareness podcast, ORRA, the informationalist.
Network of Awareness makes your brain coherent. One of the fastest growing podcasts. You can hear it 24/7. You got listeners out in London, informationalists in Paris. The echo spreading out, no parrot. Just dissect, digest, and share it. The righteous rhymes hit the spirit. Click 90 times, it won't perish. Cause y'all's the mind ain't no fairy tale like the valley our parents. It's time to rise, don't get wary. United minds, it's apparent. Download every single errand, but most ain't fit to catch it, even if they were Larry. Interviews, the interludes, they into you, taking you on a journey like no other. It places you in a state of awareness. It's your fault if you hate the truth, cause Yahweh been Yahweh's on his way, my brother. Better change your views. All praise, yeah.
Yes. Peace and greetings, people. This is ORRA, the informationalist, and I'm coming to you live and direct on YouTube and Twitter and also on Spreaker. This is a live show that I decided to do, spur of the moment, because I wanted to discuss the cons in consumerism, which is today's episode. For Most High Mondays, baby. Let's go. And what a great show we got lined up for today. And welcome to all the people that are going to be able to join on this live broadcast. And if you don't get to join on the live broadcast, whether it be on YouTube or Twitter or on Spreaker, you can always download the show on your favorite podcast streaming platform or app. And you can also listen to this show or watch it on YouTube or Twitter. And I will have the links posted up in the description page of the podcast if you decide to check out the visuals, which is just basically me on screen talking to you people. And today's show is not going to be a long one, but it is going to be an impactful one. So, with that being said, this show is all about consumerism in a time where inflation is at one of its highest levels in decades and in history. And of course, we know that during this Biden administration is where this inflation has increased. And that's why we're seeing this good cop versus bad cop scenario that's drawing near. as now Trump is going into the elections, as he's made the announcement last week. And because of that, we are going to see a shit show amongst like we've never seen before during the elections in the United Serpents of America, or should I say the United Shenanigans, or some of you may know this as the United States of America. So we're going to talk about that because Thanksgiving is coming up. People are now, as we speak, traveling for the holidays. I'm going to be doing some traveling myself. And I just wanted to let you people know that be careful out there. And I'm going to talk about why, because we're in a time of inflation. We're in a time where people don't have money like they used to. Unemployment is still high in the United States. And this is the time where people are spending a lot of money, especially as we draw near to Black Friday. It's so much so that they're giving announcements on the commercial media. Police departments in local areas are advising people and giving specific instructions on what not to do, how not to dress, and how not to be flashy. Let me take these headphones off here. So, with that being said, let's talk about that, because that's really what I wanted to discuss today, is the fact that they're telling people to not dress flashy, to not wear big pocketbooks for the women, or even for some of the men, they got their little man bags. And I find it interesting that every year around this time, they push products heavy, right? For Thanksgiving and, of course, for Christmas, which for those that are uneducated in what Christmas represents is the veneration of Nimrod. And that's why it's still into celebration today. It's in celebration and worship of a man that existed a long, long time ago. So just keep in mind that Christmas has nothing to do with Christ, has nothing to do with the Messiah, has nothing to do with the Son of the Most High, or nothing to do with anything that is positive or righteous. But of course, you know, people hate to hear the truth when it is spoken, and we can't get consumed in that. Either they understand it for themselves and pay heed to the messages, or they continue with these pagan holidays and continue to give energy to these ritualistic holidays that are now coming up, especially with Thanksgiving. I know that many of my brothers and sisters don't celebrate it because it's really a disrespect to us, people that were basically enslaved and slaughtered and pretty much almost complete genocide, that this holiday is giving veneration to and celebration to, because there's nothing to be thankful for when it comes to the day of Thanksgiving. And when it comes to being thankful and being grateful for life and everything that the Most High blesses us with is what we should be thankful for every single day. So every day should be a day of thanks for what the Most High has given us, and being thankful and appreciative and grateful for all of the things that we gained, that we learned, especially when it comes to the Most High, but even with our family. We Mother's Day should be every day. If you have a mother, you should be celebrating your mom every day. If you have a father, there should be Father's Day every day. And when it comes to Thanksgiving, when it's like one time a year that we sit at a table and eat a bunch of unhealthy food to give thanks for one day, for something that we should be thankful for every day, which is life in general, it's a big charade and it's a big hoax. And it's something that we need to stray away from if we are going to evolve as a country here in the United States of America. But the reason why I decided to do this episode today in the cons of consumerism is because where's the money at? I mean, people can't even afford to pay for gas. Okay? They can't even afford to pay for gas to get to work. But you want them to buy all these things, just like with Halloween, which Halloween is the second highest grossing holiday all year round. For one evening, not even say a day, but let's just call it a day. For one day to give out candy and to put costumes on. The second or the first grossing highest holiday is Christmas, which is coming up, which people are going to be doing their shopping for Christmas on this particular holiday, which is called Black Friday, which is going to be this Friday right after Thanksgiving. Now, I haven't celebrated Thanksgiving in quite some time. I know that many of my listeners don't, but if you do, no disrespect to you, it is what it is. If that's what you want to, do, great. I think it's good that people get to meet up with certain family members that they haven't seen in a while and really get to spend some quality time together. But we don't need a specific holiday to do that. We never have and never will. But people are going to engage in these rituals that have been programmed systematically for a couple of hundreds of years now. But if you know anything about the history of Thanksgiving, it's really celebrating the slaughter of so-called Native Americans and the indigenous people all throughout the Americas. That's what it's celebrating. And it's celebrating the propaganda behind it. But people are always, they're going to always make it seem like something else through the media, especially the commercial media. They push these holidays heavy. Part of that reason is so that it inspires you and ignites your senses to say, hey, you know what? I got to go do this. I got to buy some eggnog. I got to get me a turkey. I got to get me some stuffing. I got to start decorating the house in preparation for Christmas, but I like to decorate the house for Thanksgiving. These are all the thoughts that pass through many Americans' minds when these holidays come up. And it gives you something to look forward to. It's no different than our sports. It gives people, like when football season is coming out, a lot of people are looking forward to football season. Same thing with baseball, hockey, soccer, you name it, people are looking forward to it. Basketball. And just like Thanksgiving, people are looking forward to this holiday, and many people are traveling. And believe it or not, we still have a pandemic going on. So because we have a pandemic going on, people have to be very careful in traveling. And what you're going to see is what they're going to say. They're going to say, this is going to be one of the highest, and this is a fact too. This is not a lie, but this is going to be one of the highest levels of traffic when it comes to flying in the airports in the last several years. Why? Because a lot of people have gotten lax. A lot of people would think that the propaganda has ceased to exist. A lot of people think that the pandemic is over, and it isn't. It's still going on. And what's going to happen is that we're going to see an increase in illness right after this holiday is over. And the fact that we have a high increase in traffic during Thanksgiving season is going to be the reason why they're saying that so many people have gotten sick now. And it's not a coincidence that President Biden said this is going to be one of the darkest winters ever, because it's all by design. And this is just something to be aware of. If you are traveling, be very, very cautious if you're traveling on airplane. I personally would suggest, like what I do is, if traveling, unless I have to go somewhere really far, travel, in car, and preferably travel with those that that haven't been science appliance. Because the science appliance, let's talk about that too, because the science appliance is something else. I have a brother that drives trucks, and my brother, he was telling me that he got into a truck that usually a man that is sick drives. And because his truck is being repaired, in order for him to run his routes, he had to use another company truck. And it just so happens that the company truck that he's using currently is used by another person who's been science appliance and is constantly sick. And because whoever this person may be, and like a lot of people here in the United States, that when they cough, they don't cover their mouth. I don't know why, but I find it to be very disgusting that people can't just go like this or like that with their arm, like a normal person would. But you always have people going all over the place. This particular individual, whoever this man may be that drives that truck, does that in his truck that my brother had to use the other night. And because of that, not even 10 to 15 minutes in the drive, my brother started to feel this overwhelming illness starting to come over him. And it started to come down, and he just started feeling this icky feeling. And he said he started wiping his hand with hand sanitizer. And then he got some hand sanitizer wipes and basically had to pull over and wipe the whole entire vehicle down thoroughly. He said it took him about an hour. He said he didn't care. It did slow him down for his route, but he was in dire need of doing this because he didn't want to get sick. And he started feeling like he was getting sick. So he said after he wiped the car down for an hour, got back into the vehicle, everything was spotless, wiped down from windshield to dashboard to steering wheel to you name it, he wiped it inside that vehicle. And he said he actually felt better and he was able to complete his route. Now, shedding is real. It's something that is not really discussed, but is very real. When it comes to the science appliance, shedding is very real. And when it comes to shedding, we have to be very careful around certain people. And it's not going to, and I feel like, or should I say, I know that many people are going to get ill after traveling for this weekend, for this holiday week being Thanksgiving. It's going to happen. I went to a restaurant and I was there for about an hour and a half, more or less. Yeah, I think about an hour and a half to 2 hours. I was at a restaurant with my family at a Red Lobster. After I left the Red Lobster, I wound up talking with a couple of brothers. I wound up doing a documentary video with a couple of brothers, breaking down a particular documentary for my series. And by the time I got home, I think it was around, 9:30, maybe 10 o'clock. And I got onto this documentary series with the brothers. I finished around 12:30. And I started to feel very tired. And I started to get this heating sensation over my face. Now, this is the same type of heat that I would feel right on my face, especially here, my forehead. I used to get this very hot sensation. And it's very interesting because it's the same type of sensation when I was around people who've been science applianced. And now I started to feel it again. Because honestly, I really don't go out to a lot of public places. And if I do, because I live in the state of Florida, I usually stay outside. I think I love eating outside now more than I ever have before because of the science appliance. And it's very fun. I don't have no issues. It's only when I'm in close quarters is where the problems start to arise. And considering the fact that I am unscience applianced, that doesn't mean that I can't be affected by shedding. And I'm going to cover this on a show called Have You Been Shedded On? Because if you've been shedded on, it's something to be aware of when in certain close quarters with people. But going back to the topic at hand, the reason I say be careful because a lot of people are going to be shedded on and shedding all over the place when it comes to traveling. And it's not a coincidence that the commercial media is now putting out all these bulletins and public service announcements and videos of police officers and many others saying to be safe for many, many reasons. But I find it interesting that why are we pushing consumerism at a time where the country is struggling financially to keep up? The middle class America is really struggling to pay their bills. People are not just struggling with gas, but we do know that there's been an overwhelming inflation in real estate. So rental properties have gone up. Mortgages have gone up. Commercial property has gone up as far as leases and rent to these commercial properties. And even in consumerism, taxes have increased. Everything is being taxed during a time of inflation. So everything is more expensive now. So now they're pushing for people to go out and celebrate these pagan holidays and to consume. So now when we're consuming during these pagan holidays, we're consuming products and items that are heavily inflated, from food to toys to utensils to many, many other things that people buy, electronics. Everything is inflated. Everything has increased by anywhere from 14% to 60%. So let's say something that once cost $2 is now going to cost $4. Something that costs $5 is now going to cost $7 to $11, depending on what state you're in and what it is that you're buying. So I find it amazing that Americans will take their very last cent instead of saving it for something that's more important to consume. Why? Because not only do they push it down our throats so heavy, but also because it's all for image. And this is a country that is very materialistic and egoic. So we have to maintain the image. Many of us are always doing it all the time. Image, image, image. That's the name of the game in the United Shenanigans of America. And it hasn't changed. And you got all these people traveling that are now going to be getting sick because so many people have been sign supplicants. So many people have gotten the rooster. So many people are now getting the other sign supplicants that's meant to prevent influenza. So you have all of these people that are walking around, walking and talking pathogens, and they're contaminated. And nobody cares because the level of apathy here is just as high as the inflation. And the inflation right now is interesting because many people are having to make sacrifices because they can't afford to pay for the essentials. And this has not gone down. If anything, inflation has gone up because we all know that the Biden administration hasn't done a damn thing to change that at all. But yet, you still got a bunch of people that are going, they're taking on second and third jobs to do this. Shalom, sister. Thank you for joining the broadcast. Appreciate you. But they're taking their very last dollar to try to uphold this image for this pagan holiday. Now, many of us know better. Many of us are not going to be celebrating this. Many of us are not going to be decorating our homes. We're going to do the right thing. And we're also going to have a regular meal. Now, listen, I'm not knocking you. Like I said before, earlier in the broadcast, if this is the only time that you get to spend with certain family members, hey, that's a beautiful thing. I wouldn't condemn that in the slightest bit. I wouldn't look down upon that. I wouldn't judge anybody for that. I think it's a beautiful thing. It's just in the manner in which we're going about it, in practicing these ritual holidays. It's not necessary for us to do that in order for us to get together. And there's a lot to be thankful for in life that we don't have to just be thankful for it in one day or in one evening during a particular celebration. It's something that we should be thankful for every single day, from the moment we wake up to the moment we go to sleep. It should be no different. Now, with that being said, I want to talk about this consumerism because people are still, right now, as we speak, flooding the supermarkets. Right now, up north, and shout outs to all the brothers and sisters throughout the Northeast. I've been seeing some of the reports out in Buffalo, out in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. Insane amount of snow. Insane. I mean, Buffalo has got about 6 feet of snow right now. So it's like now we got this winter storm, okay, where a lot of people are going to get sick from the weather. Let's not even talk about those that are science appliance. But people are just naturally going to get sick during this time of year. People had to stock up last week for the impending storm that is now here in the Northeast region. And I can tell you that even here in Florida, it's a little chilly. I know that some people say, hey, ORRA, it ain't that chilly. You got 60 degree to 70 degree weather. Well, that's chilly for us. But that cold front has come down to this parts of the South. But for those that are living up north, like shout outs to my boy Billy Izzy and the family, they got a lot of snow to deal with. Especially a brother like Billy Izzy that is in a position where he has to work around the clock to manage that snow for certain properties and other things of that nature. So tough times right now in the Northeast, but they still want you to consume. And not just out of desperation for the impending storm that came, but you have a lot of people that are now consuming to celebrate one day. One freaking day. Or should I say 2 days, right? Because usually families get together on Thanksgiving Eve. They pop the bottles, they get the eggnog, the beer, the liquor, you know what, right? They watch a little bit of football and everything seems to be merry. And then, of course, they have their Thanksgiving feast on Thanksgiving Day. But how is that going to look during a time up north where there's a snowstorm? How are people going to travel? A lot of people are going to be delayed. They're already talking about a lot of delays because of the snowstorm. Then you also have inflation. And that's the basis of this show, because I'm like, how in the hell are people going to go out of their way to celebrate these pagan holidays during a time where inflation has been its highest than it's ever been in decades? Let alone traveling, where gas prices are super, super duper high. But this is the United Shenanigans of America, people. This is what it's all about. It's always been about deception and propaganda, and to get you to consume for the corporation known as the United States of America. Because if you didn't know, this is a corporation. So it's all about consumption. And we don't own anything. And we are not free, really, from anything. We may have certain civil liberties that pose to us as an illusion that make us think we have freedom, but there's no true freedom here. Okay? It's nothing but straight tyranny here. And we're seeing tyranny here in many different ways, whether it be with the science appliance, whether it be with the healthcare system, and many, many other things. So don't get conned in consumerism, because this is not the time to get conned in anything. This is time to be aware and prepared, and to be fully immersed into who you are as a spiritual being, opposed to thinking that you are just this physical being temporarily here. We are spiritual beings. Our spirit is forever. The physical is what's only temporary, and the physical is just an experience. So don't get caught up in this consumerism, people, but it's always your choice, right? We always have the freedom of will to choose what we want to do. I'm just giving on a messenger. I'm giving a message as a messenger to say, hey, don't get conned in this consumerism, especially in these one day or 2 day consumption periods for holidays. Last but not least, something I want to cover for this broadcast. If I were you, and I'm just telling you from personal experience, I stopped doing Black Friday back in, when did I stop doing Black Friday? I think it was in 2014. No, actually 2010. Now that I think about it, yeah, 2010. Because I remember going with my daughter because we wanted to get this particular flat screen TV and a couple of other items at Best Buy. And we thought that, hey, we're going to go super early and we're going to be out there and be one of the first people in line. People, let me tell you, I went to the mall and there was a line that probably, honestly, it stretched out for at least a mile to get into Best Buy. And I remember walking past all the people that were on this line and I was just amazed. And I looked at my daughter. I said, do you really want to wait online to get into the store? And my daughter looked at me and said, nope. So we just left. And of course, that's when I started ordering things online. And that's when I found out about Cyber Mondays. People, Cyber Mondays is wonderful. If you don't know what Cyber Mondays is, it's the Monday after Black Friday of the Black Friday weekend. The sales and the deals that you can get on that day are amazing. So I would definitely be aware of that if I were you, instead of going out to these stores. But many people are going to go out to these stores, and I say be very careful because inflation is so high, and because poverty is rising within the United Shenanigans of America. A lot of people are going to be getting robbed around this time of year. This is one of the worst times of year to be going out shopping because you're susceptible to getting robbed. And as you've been seeing throughout social media and even on commercial media, a lot of people are getting robbed nowadays in broad daylight. A lot of these young folks don't care. They got very intricate networks in how to rob people at what time of day, and it doesn't matter what time. You would think that a lot of people are getting robbed at night. No, a lot of people are getting robbed during the day nowadays. And so much so that I just saw a commercial media clip from, I believe it was in Pennsylvania, and was it what? I'm trying to think of what city this was. It was some city in Pennsylvania, and they were talking about literally the police departments were giving specific instructions on not to dress flashy and have big pocketbooks, like I mentioned earlier. But all across the country, be careful. And if you can prevent yourself from shopping, just shop online. I mean, just go on your Amazons and all those other platforms online and just have it delivered. Even if you got to wait an extra day or two, just because shipping is high right now and you got a lot of people ordering, you might have to wait another day or two, even if you're a Prime customer. But I say it's well worth it than having to go out there and be stampede and go through that stampede of people to buy the next pair of Jordans or the next Xbox or Modern Warfare game or whatever the hell they're promoting on television these days. It's not worth it. Your life is not worth it. And it's not worth it to even get caught up in that hysterical consumerism. Because that's all it is. I consider it to be hysterical consumerism on Black Friday. It is completely a shit show like none other. So be very aware. Just shop online. You can shop online for Black Friday throughout the weekend. And of course, you get even more deals if you wait until Cyber Mondays. So people then don't get caught up in the con of consumerism, especially during the holiday season with now Thanksgiving and Christmas coming up. I believe that Thanksgiving is the third highest grossing holiday, third highest grossing in revenue. And then the first is Christmas, second being Halloween. So that's pretty much all that I have for today. Just be very careful because it's really not worth it. And with that being said, I'm play my theme music here. And like I always say, brothers and sisters, when you live in the present, there's always an opportunity for a new beginning. So be present and don't look for the light at the end of the tunnel, because the light is and always will be within you. So light up the tunnel and find your way through the darkness. This is all the information saying peace, love, and light. Barakatan, shalom. And be safe out there, brothers and sisters. And don't get conned into consumerism. Peace.
This concludes the Network of Awareness podcast. For more information on the Network of Awareness, please subscribe via email to our website, networkofawareness.com, and follow us on Spreaker.com or any other listening apps you use. For any questions about the NOA, email us at ORRA@networkofawareness.com. Thank you for listening to one of the fastest growing podcast shows on society and culture in America and abroad. When you live in the present, there's always an opportunity for a new beginning. Peace and blessings.